In this lesson, I'm going to go over how to write a program that calculates the mean of a set of numbers. So this is the solution to exercise number 2. So let's review what a mean is. So the mean or average of a set of numbers is the sum of the numbers divided by the count of the numbers, how many numbers there are. So now the way we calculate the mean is we add up the numbers. So we find the sum of the numbers, and then we divide by how many numbers there are. So here are the steps to writing this program. So first, we want to prompt the user for input, for the input count, to ask the user how many numbers they want to enter. Next, we're going to collect the numbers. So we're going to use a loop to collect the specified number of numbers from the user. We're going to calculate the mean. So we're going to sum the numbers and divide by the count of the numbers. And then lastly, the program will display the mean. We'll print the calculated mean. So here's the code. So step 1, we're going to prompt the user for input. So we're going to store what the user inputs in the count variable. We're going to ask the user how many numbers do you want to enter? And the number that they enter is going to have to be an integer. Okay. So the input that this variable is going to hold is going to be an integer number. So step 2 is we're going to collect the numbers. So we're going to initialize an empty list to store the numbers. And so here we're declaring this list. So numbers equals, and then opening square bracket, closing square bracket. This is the way how we initialize a list, an empty list. And so now we are going to use a loop to collect the numbers from the user. And so here we have our loop. So we're going to go from I, which originally has a value of 0, index 0, to count, which is how many numbers there are. So we're going to store values in this, so in this number variable. Now the numbers do not have to be integers, they can be floating point numbers, so decimal values as well. And so this variable is going to store a floating point number. And what we're going to do is we're going to append or add this number to the numbers list. Okay, and so this loop is going to run depending on how many times depending on the count number that the user enters, depending on how many numbers there are. That's how many times the loop will get executed. So then finally, once we get to the count number, then the loop will terminate eventually. And what's going to happen is that we're going to now calculate the sum. Now there is a function that can be used in Python. It's the sum function that can add up numbers. Okay, and so this sum function, it can act on a list. So it takes the numbers in the list and adds them. And so we get the total sum. Now, in order to calculate the mean, we take the total sum and divide by the count, like how many numbers there are. Finally, we want to display. So we're going to print this sentence here. So the mean of the entered numbers is, and then whatever is stored in the mean variable here. Now, finally, in order for this program to run, we have to call the function that calculates the mean. And so we called this function originally, well, actually, let's actually look at the full code here. So this function is actually called find mean. Okay, so here we have our full code now. We're defining this find mean function. And then we have all these steps that we were just looking at. within the function. And then finally here in step 7, we actually call the find mean function. Okay, and so let's have a look at how this works. So I'm going to run the code here. And so here it says, how many numbers do you want to enter? And I'm going to say, let's go with 10. I'm going to enter a number, let's say 5.5, enter another number 11, 12, 3.14, 5.6, 5.667, 2, 1, 8, 10. And now finally I get the mean after entering 10 numbers. And we see that it's a decimal value. Okay, it's a floating point number that we get back. Okay, so that's the end of this lesson. Thank you for watching this video lesson.